Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. As we continue with Part 9, the second cycle of Rosicrucian Apologists, from Orders of Universal Reformation by Manly P. Hall. The second cycle of Rosicrucian Apologists. The general excitement caused by the original publications of the Society and the resultant controversy began to subside after 1620. No further documents that could reasonably be attributed to the brothers were forthcoming, and the cycle closed on a note of frustration. Between the years 1650 and 1665, there was a considerable revival of interest, principally as the result of the activities of three men. The first of these men was the universally learned Sir Elias Ashmole, a distinguished patron of alchemists, astrologers, and mystics, and the author of several books pertaining to these subjects. In his prolegomena of his work here, published in 1652, he states that I.O., one of the first four followers of the Fratres R.C., cured the young Earl of Norfolk of leprosy. Ashmole infers that this brother I.O. was of English birth. There is reasonable evidence that Elias Ashmole was initiated into the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone and, therefore, a legitimate exponent of the Esoteric tradition. The second intriguing personality of this era was Eugenius Philalethes, tentatively identified as Thomas Vaughan. This author published several mystical and alchemical works and translated the Fame and Confession of the Rosicrucians into English for the first time. Eugenius entered into quite a literary controversy with Henry More, the Cambridge Platonist. He retaliated to More's bitter attack with a small volume, the title of which is a classic, The Man Mouse, taken in a trap and tortured to death for gnawing the margins of Eugenius Philalethes. Thomas Vaughan was an alchemist and practical chemist and died as the result of an accident in his laboratory. The triad is completed by John Heydon, who has been the subject of considerable speculation. F. Lee Gardner, late Honorable Secretary, Societas Rosicruciana, in Anglia, and a distinguished bibliophile, passes the following judgment on Heydon. On the whole, from the internal evidence of his writings, he appears to have gone through the lower grades of the R.C. order, and to have given out much of this to the world. Several of Heydon's books include the word Rosicrucian in some form, either in the title or on the title page. His most important references to the Society occur in the Rosicrucian Infallible Axiomata, London, 1660, and in the Holy God, London, 1662. The second publication is partly a reissue of the earlier work. Heydon also claimed that he had translated the mysterious book, M, the most secret writings of the Rosicrucians, and issued it under the title, The Wise Man's Crown, London, 1664. The text, however, does not entirely fulfill this pretension. John Heydon was the first to link Francis Bacon directly with the Rosicrucians. He reissued Bacon's New Atlantis almost word for word, inserting Rosicrucian references at convenient points in the text. He must have known that the appropriation of so celebrated a writing would be immediately detected. It is possible that the project was undertaken by his authority. Heydon claims to have received certain inspirations from his relative, Sir Christopher Heydon, who he describes as a serapically illuminated Rosicrucian and learned astrologer. Sir Christopher had written a scholarly defense of judicial astrology. John Heydon, who signed himself a Secretary of Nature, included a lengthy biographical introduction in most of his large books, but it cast little light upon the problem under consideration. The sixth book of the Holy God bears the impressive title, The Rosy Cross Uncovered, and the places, temples, holy houses, castles, and invisible mountains of the brethren discovered and communicated to the world for the full satisfaction of philosophers, alchemists, astromancies, geomancers, physicians, and astronomers. As usual, the contents of the book fail to justify the title, but there are a few fugitive references to the theme under consideration. The Rosicrucians are defined as a divine fraternity that inhabits the suburbs of heaven, and these are the officers of the generalissimo of the world, that are as the eyes and the ears of the great king, seeing and hearing all things. They say these Rosicrucians are seraphically illuminated, as Moses was, according to this order of elements, each refined to water, water to air, air to fire. So of a man to be one of the heroes, of a hero a demon, or good genius, of a genius a partaker of divine things, and a companion of the holy company, of unbodied souls and immortal angels, and according to their vehicles, a versatile life, turning themselves, Proteus-like, into any shape. From the Holy God by Heydon. John Heydon, a servant of God and a secretary of nature. This ascent of men through wisdom to a divine estate is in the spirit and almost in the exact words of Plotinus and other prominent Neoplatonists. The concept obviously originated in the Pythagorean and Platonic interpretations of the Orphic theology. Heydon then summarizes the story of Father CRC, as given in the Fama, adding certain embellishments of his own in the midst of his learned and leading observations. He then complicates the situation by saying, "I am no Rosicrucian." In his paraphrasing of the Fama, Heydon inserts, "And there is another vault, or habitation of the brethren in the west of England, and there is recorded all the New Testament and every chapter explained." Later in the work, he adds, "At this day the Rosicrucians that have been since Christ say their fraternity inhabits the west of England, and they have likewise power to renew themselves and wax young again, as those did before the birth of Christ. As you may read in many books, this reference seems to imply that the Brotherhood had endured in the west of England since the beginning of the Christian era. Almost certainly this is an effort to tie Rosicrucianism with the Christian foundations at Glastonbury, which were established in the 1st century. Our author is following a well-established, if unfortunate, precedent by using the term Rosicrucian as a synonym for mysticism in general. Heydon enlarges the subject of the English vault or castle, explaining it is in the earth and not on the earth. This subterranean retreat has many rooms and chambers filled with precious and wonderful treasures. Several pages are devoted to a detailed description of the English vault, but the text consists principally of superlatives. Heydon refers to the head of the order as FRA, RCIA. It is not clear whether he intends FRA as an abbreviation for frater or, as John Wilkins used it, as an abbreviation for Francis. The combination of frater with father is also unusual and is not found in the conventional texts. As Heydon emphasizes, the English vault of the Brotherhood, the RCIA, could reasonably stand for Rosicruciana in Anglia. Little else of importance occurs in this section of the Holy God, but the work should be read carefully by those seeking stray hints and intimations. After 1665, all interest in the Rosicrucian controversy appears to have vanished from the public mind. It was not revived until nearly 100 years later, at which time it was associated rather intimately with Freemasonic speculation. Little new was added, and from a literary standpoint, the resurrection was merely a rehashing of old claims and pretensions. The oracle of the Rosy Cross spoke once, in 1614, and thereafter was forever silent. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.